Hi everyone, my name is Will. I have two personalities living in me, and this is no joke. I'm going to tell you about my life and how bad it is to have a split personality, especially when both sides are opposites. Believe me, I have a lot to tell you. I grew up a decent good boy all the time. My parents were away a lot, but they were always cool about me because I never did anything stupid or got them in trouble. When I went to school I had no friends because I was considered a loser, but I felt safer that way. I preferred to be alone, read a lot, studied, and stayed home. And then strange things started happening to me. It all started with the bullying of the new rich kid in my class. He pressured me, humiliated me, and harassed me. I endured his attacks forever. I couldn't fight back because I was weaker physically. Derek didn't stop there. He harassed me almost every day, knowing that I wouldn't tell my parents anything and that they weren't home often, which meant they wouldn't notice the bruises on my body. He didn't hit me in the open places, but he hit my back, arms, legs, and stomach like crazy. I could tolerate anything, until one day he hit a girl I liked, Dina. We had studied together for years, but I never found the courage to confess my feelings to her. I was about to leave the school when I saw her standing in the center and being mocked. No one noticed because it was happening on the roof of the school. And I looked up to see the sky, and there it was. And then, next thing I don't remember how, but something happened. The guy gets dizzy, and in front of the audience there's a cocky guy in different clothes, with a new haircut, a different personality. Hey, stop listening to this loser. I'll tell you what happened because I was there. My name is Clay, and unlike Will, I can control him, but he can't control me. That's my advantage. I saw Dina. I knew perfectly well that Clay liked her, and I was sick of getting it from that jerk all the time. It took me a fraction of a minute to get up on the roof, and as soon as I opened the door, I sprinted out and kicked Derek. Everyone stood there in shock. I gave Dina a hand and picked her up off the floor. She was crying and covering her face with her hair. I noticed the jerk had punched her in the face. Her lip was smashed.
Are you out of your fucking mind? What the fuck? Do you want a beating, too? Come here.
Let's just go, Will. Please. No, he's gonna pay for everything. And like a fighter from the best movies, I started fighting. Don't ask me how I know how to do it, I just did. I took out all four of them in about 3 minutes and stood there like a hero. Dina looked at me with round eyes. I took her hand and told Derek, "You touch her again, you'll be sorry." And then I went to see her off. We chatted sweetly the whole way, though I didn't like her. I was bored with her. I preferred bright girls. When I walked her out, she suddenly hugged me, at which point I turned on Will. Picture changes, Will returns. Why? He switched me on again, didn't he? Apparently telling the story of the day? You could have told me because I don't know anything. Anyway, when I came to Dina, she was hugging me. And I had no idea what was going on. Only my hands hurt, and my fists were a little bit burning. Thank you. I didn't know you were such a good fighter. You saved my life. She thanked me and gave me a kiss on the cheek. I was so excited. Dina ran home and I was fluttering with happiness, but I couldn't remember anything and it embarrassed me. The other day at school, Derek was acting weird. He squinted at me and fished me out in the middle of recess. Locked us in an empty classroom, pinned us against the wall, and started talking about what I was up to yesterday.
You think that's cool? You humiliated me in front of my guys. You're gonna answer for that, motherfucker.
Derek punched me in the face, and I started closing up and begging for help. And then it was click. Again. Next Clay. And then it was back to me again. I don't know why I suddenly decided to defend Will. Maybe because I had plans for him. I gave Derek a quick whack, again. He hadn't touched me since. When I walked out of class, Dina came up to me and I switched. Will, Dina invited me to see a movie and showed me 2 tickets. I was surprised. A battered Derek came out of class, he looked at us and walked on. What, you beat him up again? Me? Yeah. My hands hurt. So how about a movie? Yeah, sure. Let's do it tonight at 7 o'clock. I was glad that the girl of my dreams paid attention to me. I got ready to leave the house, stood in front of the mirror, and suddenly I got dizzy again. I got tachycardia. My heart was pounding at the temples. I don't feel well. I'm overexcited or something. Suddenly the reflection in the mirror as if stopped repeating my movements. I looked at myself, only I was different. You? Who are you? Hey loser. I have other plans for you tonight. I'm afraid we won't get a date tonight. What the hell? Hero walks out of the house in Clay's face. The door opens with his foot in, whistling, looks out on the road. Great night. So, this loser doesn't even have a car. I need a car and a fancy outfit. I stopped the car, which was driven by some guy. I don't know who he was, but I liked the car, so I scared him and pulled him out by force, took the car, and drove at all speeds. I had a plan. I wanted to use Will's body to make something up. As you can imagine, Will's life was already preordained. He would graduate from college and work as an average employee, an office mouse for an average salary, get married, have kids, take out loans, support his family, not drink, not smoke, and go to his in-laws on Sundays. That's all. And then he will die of old age. A boring old age. I wasn't going to live like that. I wanted something more. I needed money to start with. So I went to a club. It was fun and noisy. I was lucky enough to have some good stuff in the guy's car, so I changed my clothes, got my hair done with water, and went inside. I managed to hook up with a couple of rich girls there. I entertained them, charmed them, made them laugh. Before they knew it, they were paying the bill themselves. Then I took them for a ride through town, got them drunk on more alcohol, and then, they gave me their cards and passwords, and I successfully wrote off all the money, returning the cards into their purses. The girls were already passed out at this point. I hid the money in the closet at home when I arrived in the morning. I left the car far out of town, took the girls to the nearest motel, and put them to bed. I'm a decent guy. I went home and fell asleep. The guy wakes up. Will is in front of the audience. I didn't remember anything that was going on. It wasn't until lunchtime that I woke up and saw the missus from Dina. I felt bad and couldn't remember if we had gone to the movies. When I opened the messages, she wrote that she was upset with me and asked me not to call her again. I washed my face and ran to her, making excuses that I didn't remember anything. But she showed me pictures of me hanging out at some club. I freaked out. Suddenly I remembered talking to my reflection in the mirror and I felt even worse. In a panic, I ran home, flipped through my phone, and saw a video. There I showed how I had spent the evening, then a picture of strange girls hugging me. It was creepy. I noticed some unfamiliar clothes on the floor, and I started rifling through the closet, hoping to find some clue. And I did. A white cloth bag fell from the top, and money fell out of it. Oh no, what have I done? Where did that money come from? I stared at it like I was stunned and someone knocked on the door. It was the police. The next thing I knew, I couldn't remember anything. I woke up in a strange place. Some room, I turned my head, and Dina was sitting in a chair. I'm like, what, Dina? What are you doing here? Are you crazy? You broke into my house, covered in mud, with an obscure bag of money, yelling for me to hide you. Are you even normal? Do you have some kind of problem with your head? You just laid out on my bed and slept till morning. I'm sorry, you don't remember anything again? I think so, man. That's not an excuse, that's not funny. Go back to your chicks, okay? Wait, I got to tell you something. I told her everything, and she didn't believe me. What was I hoping for? But she was the only one I could trust. Dina kicked me out of the house with my stuff and my money, and the cops drove by on the street. I was running. I was still on the run, or rather, not me, but for him. Clay started coming out in dialogue. The creepy thing is, I can't control him, unlike him. Now we're somewhere closer to the mountains, I don't even know what state that is. But we have money, that's all. What happens next, I don't know.
I'm stuck on an island with my stupid brother. Hi everyone, my name is Gary. I had a great life because everything was always smooth. Money, girls, I was happy with myself and was lucky in everything. That wasn't until my cousin Easy came to visit. You have no idea what he's like, and oddly enough, he's always got me in trouble. He's just a magnet for them to come to me, and all because he's stupid. First, I'll tell you about my life before he came into my life. I grew up in a rich family, my parents were big businessmen, so I got everything I wanted from life. Since at school, in addition to recognition, popularity, and appearance, I also had a lot of friends, as well as attention from girls. I considered myself a happy person. Every day I planned from the evening, oh yes. I don't hide the fact that I was literally torn apart. First school, then football training, then a meeting with the girls, with the first, then the second. I didn't always remember their names, I just had to get my time. That was enough for me, too. Well, one day, my mother came up to me in the morning. Come home today right after class. We have guests coming, she said. They were all relatives, my mother's sister and her son. His name is Easy. And I wasn't happy to see him because he was such an idiot. Easy, though, too, like me, grew up in a well to do family. He did not get a kick out of life, didn't know how to make friends. All he had was a lot of trouble, bad eyesight, and dirty hair. I have no idea why he lived like this, but I wasn't going to interfere. I had enough to worry about. My mother warned me to be polite, so I forced a smile and said a short, okay. I didn't want to come home after school, but I gave my word to my mother. I saw the car at the door, which meant we already had them. As soon as I entered the house, I tripped over the suitcases and bags. Brother, I yelled, a nasty, squeaky voice. My nerd brother was running towards me, wearing horribly gaudy glasses, and he threw his arms wide and ran into me, knocking me down. We fell right on top of his suitcases. Get off me! I shouted, and then my mother came over. Be friendly. He missed you, she said. I gave him a disgusted hug, then shoved him away as soon as Mom turned away. It wasn't much of a dinner, and I was bored to death. All the time, he and my aunt were talking incessantly, and I was picking at the steaks with my fork. Easy was looking at the tablecloth and saying that it was wonderful. I rolled my eyes and said I wanted to rest, but my mother told me to take Easy with me. Damn it. This idiot stumbled into my room, and ahead of me, lay down on the bed with a run. He began to chatter incessantly that it was good to study, that he had a couple of rats and was watching them. I was so bored. I told him to shut up, arched into a chair, and fell asleep. The next day, my mother woke me up early in the morning. I was angry because I wanted to sleep on the weekend, but my mother told me to pack my things. We were supposed to spend the weekend on our family island. I packed up, got dressed, and as soon as I got downstairs, Easy was there. Good morning, brother, he said to me, smiling broadly, and I waved my hand and poured myself a cup of coffee. I won't tell you about the road because my head almost exploded from my brother's company. He talked about rats and school all the time, and my mother was busy talking to my sister. A few hours later, we were there. The first day we talked a lot, took pictures. I wanted to be alone, but Easy followed me everywhere. The same evening, I went out to the sea before going to bed, thinking of swimming alone. The water was just gorgeous. As soon as I entered the water, I heard, Brother, I'll be right there, behind me, and Easy was standing in his swimming trunks and going into the water. I rolled my eyes and swam on, and he was yelling something behind me. It wasn't until a couple minutes later, when I looked around, that I noticed he wasn't there. My heart sank, and I shouted at him, but he was silent. Then I realized that he had drowned. I went in search of him, searched for him, and found him. I managed to pull him out of the water, his head on my shoulder, but he wasn't breathing. Someone's raft floated by, apparently untied. I quickly threw him in there and somehow climbed in myself, and then I started doing artificial respiration. At some point, I thought that this was the end. I was really scared. Easy, easy, I shouted while doing a heart massage. And after a moment, he opened his eyes and started coughing. I felt relieved. I can't swim, he said suddenly. And I was so angry. Then why did you get in the water? I yelled, and he told me that he wanted to stand next to me. Are you stupid at all? As soon as I looked back, I realized that while I was rescuing my brainless cousin, the raft had drifted away from the shore. I was disoriented and didn't know where the water was taking us. I was really scared. I started shouting and calling for help, but in the middle of the night, there was no one. The first thought that we might be devoured by sea animals during the night was simply terrifying. I roughly looked in which direction the land was and made my brother steer the raft in that direction. After a while, there was no strength left. Then Easy and I got on the raft and I yelled at him with the last of my strength. He began to cry so hard that I felt sorry for him. You always do that. You're always ruining everything. Why are you climbing up to me? I shouted. But Easy just cried, and then he said he loved me. What do you mean? I asked more calmly. He told me that he knows perfectly well how clumsy he is, knows that he's causing trouble, but I'm an example to him, like an older brother. Ever since my father died, I couldn't believe it, and you're the yard. You put your arms around me and promised me that you would protect me, always. I thank you for that, he said, and I suddenly remembered that moment, and the promise I had safely forgotten. I was suddenly so ashamed, I told him to calm down, and then I promised that everything would be fine. Easy thought we were stuck in the sea forever, but by then it was time for the tour, and I was able to make out the area. It's a good thing that we weren't attacked, and yet the water itself led us to the shore. Easy was already asleep, and I was trying to row as hard as I could, and finally, we came to Earth. By this time, the search team was working. Our moms were looking for us all night, and when they saw it, they were very happy. After Easy and I had slept and eaten, I invited him to sit near the house in the evening. fry sausages on the fire, and chat. He didn't even believe it. We talked a lot, and I thought it was stupid, but it was important for my brother. And that evening, I learned a lot of interesting things about him, such as that he builds a car himself and even built a small computer. I promised to help him with the car and make it beautiful, and Easy was happy. For some reason, I wanted to fulfill my promise and become a real brother to him. Do you think it'll work?